And now I'm going to do something that anybody who's been to these kinds of events before would tell you that, you know, in fact, I got this lecture once from someone in the audience that said, oh, people don't do this. Well, I'm not your typical politician. In fact, I've never been a politician before, so hopefully this won't keep ringing. I'll hold this out a little bit. But I'll open it up to questions from those of you who are residents and non-residents. And point it down, so I got to hold it like this. So we'll maybe this will do. So I'll try it this way. Anyways, I will entertain questions from the audience and about the village and what's going on. I'm happy to answer them. So who's got questions about things happening in the village?
Tell us about the golf course.
This golf course is great. Silver Lake. So Silver Lake, as you know, it's up for sale. I believe they're in negotiations. They had an auction or a bid, and there were 8 different bidders, and I think they chose one, and they're in negotiations. Their particular piece of property is 300 acres. 70 acres or so is not. It's not buildable because it's a wetland, and as part of this, that we've seen plans, and it includes residential. It includes keeping some golf. My position, and the board will decide this, is that that we'd like to see 18 holes of golf maintained, so it's still a golf course. We understand that 45 is not reasonable, but and we're okay with residential as well. And the residential that we've seen looks like it's just fine. But we're very cognizant of the fact that too much residential will overwhelm our schools. So we have to make sure that that doesn't happen. We're also very cognizant of the open space that we need to keep, but we'd like to keep the recreation amenity of golf at a public golf course because it's been there for so long. So it's the only one in town, exactly. And so it's E1 zoning. I'm not sure what's going on with this, but it's E1 zoning, which means by right they can build 1 acre estate lots. No one's going to buy it for that. So they're going to have to come through the village for zoning, and when we do, we'll work with them to try and find something that the village can accept but still allows them to get value out of their property. So that's where we're at with that. Good question. Any other questions?
What's the prospect for the development in Old Orland now? What's the status of all that?
The triangle. So we are currently in discussions. We originally chose a developer. With the last board, the vote was 5-2 on that developer, but we moved forward. We tried to get a master development agreement done with that. COVID hit, and they backed out of the project eventually. And so the number 2 choice was still interested. I actually voted for them. I thought they had the better plan. And they're local, and they live here in Orland as well. And so we're in discussions with them. They have some ideas, some that you've seen already that was publicly announced was the e-gaming facility, which would go on the current park, and then the piece just to the east of that would become a bigger park. Now, when you hear e-gaming, everyone's like, oh, we're going to have gambling, no. It's actually, people actually pay tickets to watch people play video games. And it's a big thing, and it's not going away. None of us in this room probably understand it, but your kids do. And so your kids do, and it's actually very popular, and it basically what this would be is about a 1,500 seat auditorium, which we could use for plays and concerts and other things too. So very interesting concept, and hopefully it will happen. And we're still in discussions with them for the final agreement. We have about another year to get that done.
What's going on with Sears in Orland Square?
So Sears in Orland Square, that's a really good question. So when Sears announced that they were leaving, we almost immediately so I think they announced they were leaving in February of 2018. And by the end of that month, we had approved an AMC for that spot. They were actually, before COVID hit, they had just done the asbestos removal. They were just getting ready to tear off the top of that building and start building the theater. Then COVID hit. We all know what happened to the movie theater business. AMC has since retrenched so that they are basically buying up properties that are distressed, so they're not building new. So at this point, it's a little bit uncertain. And of course, the developers of that own several Sears properties, so they're not just dealing with it here. So we don't know exactly what they're looking to do. We do know that Simon Properties, who owns the mall, has a big interest in that. They also are now the owners of JCPenney, as the whole corporation, or all JCPenney's, not just ours. And so they have a distinct interest of seeing that developed. It's possible they could buy it and develop it. They have some ideas as well. So we'll continue working with all those parties to get that redeveloped. But the good news is the mall is doing great. I was just told yesterday, of all of the Simon properties throughout the country, Orland Square was second as far as rebounding from COVID. Wow. So it's doing great. And it's still a top 1% traffic mall in the country. So the mall is doing just fine. It's actually doing very, very well. Wow. Any other questions?
Expansion and development of sports in Orland.
So Jim Garrett from the Chicago Southland Visitors Bureau has a question about expansion of youth sports in Orland. And it's something that's very important to him, trying to bring visitors to the region. Anybody who, how many of you have had travel sports kids or have travel sports kids now? At any time? I know there's more of you than that. So you know when you travel somewhere, you get a hotel stay, you get a restaurant. This is very annoying. Is that the problem? I'll hold it way out here. Okay.
Turn it down there.
What's that?
You can turn the house sound down. It's too loud. It's feedback.
Okay. So all those youth sports bring hotels. They bring restaurants. We don't have a lot of hotels, right? But we will have hotels, but they bring hotel stays. So one of the things we're looking at potentially doing as part of the master plan for all the parks, which is Centennial Park West, also John Humphrey and Schuessler Park. So we're master planning all those. And John Humphrey is just phase 3, which is the south end of it. We're going to do a master plan for all that. As part of that, we're looking at potentially adding a sports facility in that, which would, if we did it, we have done studies on it. It looks like the most viable is an eight field complex. Sorry about this. An 8 field complex that is full-size baseball fields, so that you could hold high school tournaments. But the nice thing about that is if you have a full-size baseball field, you can put soccer and lacrosse on those fields and they'd all be turf. So the idea is to bring people in. It would give us a lot of fields for the weekdays for our teams in town, and it would give us great fields for the weekends for tournaments. And I think this year we had 36 tournaments from out of town come in to Orland Park. So it brought a lot of economic activity to the mall, to restaurants, to hotels. Right now Tinley's benefiting from that, but we do have a hotel going up soon behind Rock Bottom. Any other?
What's the status on 143rd Street?
Status on on the widening of 143rd Street. So we're still working on it, trying to get funding. We thought we had some funding from the feds for one section. We've broken it into 3 sections. We will probably go it alone for the first section, which will widen from and fix the intersection at Southwest Highway all the way to West Avenue. The other 2 sections are West Avenue to Wolf and then Wolf to Will Cook. Wolf to Will Cook we will probably get funding for as we take jurisdiction of that. The state will likely fund it, but the most expensive piece is Wolf to Will Cook. Once one of those projects gets started, the rest of it will get done.